Hello, random fellows. We're back at it again with some opening theory. This is the Alapin Sicilian. So, we are playing from the black side, e4, c5, c3. This is the Alapin Sicilian starting position. It is to be noted that there is the delayed Alapin as well, starting with knight f3, and then you can transpose with knight c6, c3, blah, blah, blah. But the delayed Alapin is relatively less common because if black plays d6, then the Alapin becomes a bit more sketchy because there's no e5 after knight f6. Yeah, but these are strange move order subtleties. One thing to be noted is that if you play e6, this probably won't work for you against the delayed Alapin. So you might have to figure something out there. Anyways, I'm suggesting knight f6, and we'll cover e5. I'm not really going to cover sidelines such as queen c2 or d3. Hopefully you can kind of figure that out on your own. You know, there's also some bishop d3 setup, bishop c2. Like, yeah, I'm not covering all these sidelines. E5, knight d5, d4. So yeah, there's like different move orders. Knight f3 can also be played before d4, I guess, and blah, blah, blah. But I think you should take on d4. And now there is, in fact, a move order subtlety that we care about, which is whether our opponent plays knight f3 here or takes back immediately. Because if our opponent plays knight f3, let's just go through it very quickly. Obviously, can't really do anything here. Our knight's hanging. So just play d6, and the difference is that taking on d6 is actually a somewhat playable move, but I think that you should play e6. Knight takes here, for example, and I should just be pressing the arrow, shouldn't I? Yeah, bishop takes d6 was our whole idea. g3 is supposedly the best move, but this is just somewhat equal. It's pretty close. This is about what the evaluation bar is going to be looking like the whole video. It's going to be like plus 0.1 for white, but it's pretty much equal. Also, you can play other moves other than g3, obviously, but I think that it's just an alright position for black. I don't really have that much theory going on here. Like throwing a check, I'm guessing bishop d7. Yeah, and just, like, you can figure this out on your own. So, that is a move order subtlety, but we're going to be looking at this for the rest of the video, pretty much, because now if you play d6, there's no longer takes, really, because you can just play queen takes immediately, and white just has an isolated pawn for no reason. Like, usually you would get, like, easy development or, you know, some extra tempi or something. This is just nonsense, pretty much. Like knight c3, knight c6, bishop out, bishop e6. So bishop out is actually a bit inaccurate. You should play something like knight f3 instead, and this is just a solid position for black. So instead of taking on d6, I think that it is a lot more normal to play either knight f3 or bishop c4. So knight f3 is the main move, but let's start with bishop c4. I think that you should play knight b6, and if bishop b5 check, then bishop d7. This is somewhat equal position for black, like there's something like a4, but just take, and this is fine for black. And yeah, you can figure the rest out on your own. There's too many move order subtleties here for me to cover everything in depth, okay? Knight f3 is the main move, and I think d takes c5 is good. Taking back like this is the main move, but we are going to cover knight takes first. So after knight takes, you should play knight c6, and then on bishop c4, you should play something like e6, and castles, bishop e7. There's also always the opportunity for them to take, but I think this position is fine for black. You would think that having these two isolated pawns would be a weakness somehow, but white doesn't really have a way to attack them. in comparison, we definitely can attack the d4 pawn because it is in the middle of the board. Also, the open b file is kind of nice for us. So I think that this is just a pretty good position for black. Not much else to say about it. Yeah, knight c3 castles. So that covers knight takes e5. Again, I can't cover everything. There's probably some stuff I missed in those lines, but this is the main move. And then knight c6, bishop c4, and here comes kind of a shocking move that I actually haven't really seen that much before, but it's bishop e6 from the prior variation that you saw somewhere, right? And this is quite the shocking move, because I think the main move is to play knight b6, and then you get into some kind of theoretical endgame here, where he pulls the bishop back, and yeah, that's strange. Also, I think there's knight b4 as a move, which like also just gets into some strange endgame stuff. I feel like bishop b6 is just way simpler. So castles is what I'm going to look at. Obviously, if knight c3, that hangs a knight, right? We're all noticing that because of take. You obviously cannot take the bishop because that is mate. So that's a pretty fun tactic. Hey, Editor Jacob here. I forgot to mention that knight g5 is unplayable. And this is due to the aforementioned tactic, knight c3. Pretty incredible. I mean, I can't believe I forgot this. But basically, bishop hanging, queen hanging, and if queen takes queen, rook takes queen, you are about to get mated. So you pretty much have to play something like knight takes, allow bishop takes, and this is just winning for black. Or at least very advantageous, because white can't castle, black can claim to have more development because it's 3 developed pieces versus 2, and yeah, I mean, just good position for black, so that's why knight g5 is unplayable. Thanks. Castles, knight c7. This is logical because obviously we kind of wanna trade off some pieces. Our pieces are like a little jumbled up in the middle here. It's a little bit strange to have a bishop on e6, but it's actually it's well placed because it's gonna get traded. So there are a lot of different moves here, but basically queen takes is bad because rook takes, and you just have a good position. Like, I don't know how much theory I can provide here. This is just good. And the other moves are moving the queen somewhere where it defends the bishop, but they're all going to transpose. Like queen e2, queen c2, queen b3, and queen a4 all transpose to each other because we're going to take on c4 every single time. And the queen will be forced to take back. g6, knight c3, for example, like bishop g7, bishop f4, castles. And I thought that it was important to include that when a rook comes to d1, you should play queen c8. Okay? Like, this isn't really theory because, you know, they're going to play different moves than bishop f4 and different moves than knight c3 and all this stuff, but just remember the queen c8 idea. And also the g6 idea, okay? g6 is a very necessary move in this position. Other than that, there is knight a3, which is probably one of the most annoying moves because it just says, okay, let's go to an equal endgame. So we're going to say, all right, we're going to take the queen, take the bishop. The reason why we're going into this endgame is because if you try to go g6 now, then there's the option of queen b3. And this is just a little bit sketchy for black. I don't actually remember why. What was the problem with bishop takes c4 again? No one knows. Can you take on b7? Don't think so. And is it knight takes, perhaps? Yep, knight takes is correct. Yeah, so don't do that. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but clearly there's a problem. So that is why we are in fact going to trade... Whoops, that's the wrong variation. We are in fact going to trade down into this endgame, and now there's a choice between what move you want to play. You can either play e6 or you can play g6. It is kind of up to personal preference, but I'm going to say that you should play e6 because if you play g6, it looks like a very solid position, right? Let's say bishop e3, bishop g7, and now, whoa, you're threatening to b5 and to win the pawn. But if white just plays a4 here, I thought that this position was kind of difficult to continue with black. Like if you castle, then rook d7 is incoming, and you have to defend this knight. Another rook's coming over to d1. Like, I just think this is a bit uncomfortable for black, but it's objectively equal according to the computer. But yeah, I would recommend you play e6 because it's easier to play. The only problem you have is this d6 square, but it is not that big of a problem because obviously you can't go into d6 immediately because that pawn is going to be a major, major weakness. And I can't really cover any more theory here. It's just up to you to play well in this endgame. There are some ideas of going like knight here, bishop e7, and then knight e4, trying to get better control of the d6 square. Was it castles first? It was in fact castles first. Sorry for the voice crack. Yeah, but this is like a little bit suspicious, but you always have knight takes here. So, wait, it is knight takes here, right? No, it's not. It is b5. My bad. I was thinking here you have knight takes here. Mixing up my variations a little bit. Sorry, it's a bit late at night. But for right now, they can't really put a knight in on d6. So they can play something like b3 or move the bishop somewhere, and this should just be pretty alright for black. You can play b5, and now the knight has to go into d6, and you're going to win this pawn. And it's a complex position, but we are up a pawn. So even if white has more activity, a pawn is a pawn. But this is just one sample line. If they don't go for this knight g5, knight e4 idea, then, you know, this is obviously going to be like different, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have for this video. We saw all the lines, right? There was takes, there was a quick line with knight f3, d6, and taking on d6, right? There was some move order subtleties there, but I think that position is completely equal and fine for black. And there's takes, e6. Obviously, there's not really that many moves here for white, because if you play something like knight c3, then just take, 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 and the endgame is just better for black. So it's not really like there's that many options for white to play. Yeah, pretty solid stuff. Thank you for watching. And remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you have any questions or if you just want to say something cool. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.